You're listening to The White Rabbit, conversations on the art of presenting in a rather noisy world. Your hosts are Matt Krause and Alper Rozanes. Matt helps leaders of international companies speak, write, and present with confidence. Alper is an author, communications trainer, and a startup investor with a diverse portfolio of companies in Barcelona. If you like this podcast, please share with your friends and colleagues. Now, on to Matt and Alper for today's conversation.
Alper, one of the most common questions that we get when we're doing presentation training is how do you handle angry audience members? So the situation, you're up there in front of a group and someone gets hold of the mic or they stand up from their chair or something like that, and they're really angry about something. So what advice do you give to people?
That's a good question, and I think the first thing that crosses my mind is questioning: have I angered them? Is it something that I did? Is it like, am I cutting the budget by 75%? Am I chopping salaries by 90%? What is it? So I think the first thing would be, of course, to question why this is happening. And not always we will find rational responses to that. Sometimes people may show reaction irrationally, but nonetheless they are showing it, and you're facing the situation in a group of people. And I think it's a delicate moment because immediately you have to turn into this person who doesn't lose control and who holds things together. And now everybody's looking at you to see what your next move will be. I think in this situation, I think the golden rule would be to stay calm before doing anything, before responding, before saying something, before acting something. I think it would be best to stay calm, although it might be difficult depending on the severity of the situation. But I think it's also important to remember that the source, or rather the destination, the target of the anger of this person, it may not be you as a speaker. It may not be even the topic that you're talking about. I mean, anger is an emotion, and it doesn't necessarily originate at the moment of the presentation. Maybe it has some preceding factors to it. Nevertheless, you're in the situation, and after being calm, I think the first step would be to try to diffuse the situation, to reduce the heat of the argument. And one of the best ways, in my opinion, to do that would be in a calm way. And I think I published an article about this, at a tone of voice lower than the other person, not higher, lower than the other person, to say something like, I hear you, I understand your point of view, and I think you're right to talk about this. I think you're right to voice your opinion about this. Because as I mentioned before, one of the reasons of that anger may be that this person may have felt unheard, maybe during the speech or before that, and he might be throwing a tantrum because of that feeling. So I think it will be important to verbalize the fact that we hear them, we understand what they're saying, and their response, although heated, is noted. The second step I would recommend would be to actually reverbalize his point of view or the problem that he's talking about using our words to show to this person further that we really understand. It's not only an empty yeah I hear you response. It's like a response of I understand your point of view and a justification of that understanding using our own words. But at the same time, of course, we cannot let these situations to derail the whole speech, the whole presentation. We need to get back on track. And there comes a time where we need to regain the control of the situation and in an assertive way pull the conversation back to our point of view, because you are the one presenting. He is not the one presenting. The angry audience member has a right to voice his anger or his concern, But let's not forget the fact that you are the one speaking, you are the one presenting, and it is your responsibility to take back control and pull the conversation in your direction. So you can make a smooth transition from verbalizing that you understand his anger to your point of view by saying something like, however, what we need to do, or something like, but in order to do that, or something like, yes, but at the same time. So you're not completely dismissing his point of view, but you're at the same time showing that it's not going to be very easy to derail you from the main point. So you take back the control of the conversation. Of course, just because we do these three steps, it doesn't mean that the situation is diffused. It doesn't mean that it's completely resolved. We may still have to justify the points that we're making in the presentation, and maybe take an honest assessment of whether they are fully justified. And in that case, we can do more work on our part. But at least by following these three steps, I think we increase the probability of calming the situation further, of reducing the tension of the situation. And then, if in some occasions, if we even can give this person the perception, the feeling that he has been heard, he has been understood, and we are addressing his concerns, something interesting can happen. This person may become one of our staunchest supporters in the upcoming stages of the conversation, because obviously he had some itch. We scratched it in a way that he would want, and we addressed his concerns. And now he doesn't have any more reason to stand against us. I'm not saying that this is going to happen 100%, but he may become one of our supporters towards the end of the conversation.
Okay, so Alper, I've got a question for you. If you've got a really, really difficult person, somebody who just won't let up and they're just really out to get you, what do you do then?
I personally haven't come across that kind of a situation. As a speaker, I have come across as a part of the audience, and I liked how people, well, most of the time I liked how the speakers maneuvered that. And what I saw working was that, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
again, you should keep calm. And I understand that it can be quite difficult when there's someone in front of
Mm-hmm.
you trying to make your life more difficult, deliberately trying to make your life difficult.
Okay.
It cannot be very easy
True.
to stay
True.
calm, but you need to do that. And at the
Uh,
same time, you
true.
need
True.
to make sure that this person, along with everybody in the room, maintains the knowledge that you are the one leading the conversation. This is your speech. It is your responsibility to control things, and you're not going to let that go anytime
Okay.
soon. Therefore, you may need to change your tone a little
Okay.
bit. Again, at a lower volume, not shouting, not at a lower tone. I'm sorry, maybe at a higher volume, but certainly at
Mm-hmm.
a lower tone than the other person. You may say something like, "Look, our goal here is to come to learn about something, to come to a mutual understanding about a situation, and I'm sharing with you some information, some perspectives, etc., etc." But the way you keep talking to me,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make it possible for us to come to a common understanding. So, because now I
Oh,
believe
wow.
the
Okay.
the the direction of the conversation is moving away from the topic at hand and coming to me as a person, as a speaker. So there really isn't a way we're going to meet on common ground. We can
Mm-hmm.
either talk about this at the end of the speech, but for the sake of everybody else's time and to respect that,
Mm-hmm.
I will continue now. So
And just to make sure, so this is a tactic that you've seen employed when the earlier efforts that you described just aren't doing the job. Is that correct?
they were doing the job, but yeah, maybe not enough. Because as a participant myself, I remember one time when the speaker started losing control and turned it into a dialogue between the speaker and the person causing the difficulty, I, as an audience member, remember thinking, I didn't come for this. I came for the
Mm.
speech, and the
Mhm.
speech is about to be derailed. The speaker is obviously losing the control and turning this from a presentation into a dialogue, an aggressive dialogue between two people. I lost
Mhm.
respect for the speaker. I lost
Okay.
respect for the event, and I
Mhm.
remember thinking, okay, I mean, this is pointless. I'll just get out. And in another occasion, I saw another speaker treating the situation calmly and
Mhm.
being assertive. Is one of the words that I love. It's not harsh, it's not
Okay.
aggressive, but it's being assertive, telling
Mhm.
the other person that this behavior is not going to be tolerated and you're not going to go down to his level.
Okay.
And they beautifully invoked the benefits of other people in the room by saying, we will be disrespecting everybody else's
Mm.
time if we continue on this. So either sit down, keep quiet, and we can take this at the end of the speech, at the end of the
Mm.
presentation. I will be here as long as you want,
Okay.
or please leave the room, because this is not the goal of the event. The goal of the event is not for me to try to convince you for half an hour. But he did this in a very calm
Mhm.
and low vocal tone, which
Mhm.
immediately painted him as the authority figure. Well, he was already the authority figure in the room, he was making the
Mhm.
speech, but this created more confidence in the way he was handling the situation.
Okay, so Alper, thanks for the suggestions. These are excellent suggestions about what to do if you have an angry audience member. And just to recap, I think step one was to stay calm. Well, in all steps, stay calm. And then the magic phrase is "I hear you" or something like that. I hear you, and that tells the angry audience member that you're not going to resist, that you acknowledge that, yes, there are issues that need to be discussed in your presentation. And then restate the problem in your own words so that the angry audience member knows that this person does hear me. He's not just saying it. This person does hear me and has thought about and understands what I'm saying. And then if that's not enough, and if it kind of drags on, you need to start remembering the other audience members. That you don't want to turn this into a discussion with one angry person. You don't want to let this one angry person hijack the whole presentation, because you have a bunch of other people in the audience and they are there to see you and to hear you. So you need to remember that they're your first duty. So you need to take back control of your presentation and continue on with your presentation. So those were some good tips. Thank you very much, Alper, and I will talk to you next week.
Great talking to you. Take care. Thank you for listening to The White Rabbit with Matt Krause and Alper Rozanes. You can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or through your favorite feed.